Some pairs of English words are simply confusing. We've chosen these 4 pairs of words in British English that are confusing for people learning English and some native English speakers too. For each word, we're going to hear how to say it, understand the most common meaning, and understand popular ways of using the word, especially when speaking. Hi, I'm Kathy and I love to talk and chat in English, and I'm here with Justin to help you understand, pronounce and use these words when speaking in English.
Hello, my name is Justin. I'm a performing arts professional based in the south of France. I teach actors both in film and theatre skills, and I also work with the local business community, for example, helping local managers become better presenters.
Let's take a look at our first pair of words, quiet and quite. Quiet means making a little noise or just a small amount of noise. For example, she was as quiet as a mouse means that she was making very little noise. Why? Because a mouse is almost silent. A mouse is very quiet. Quite is used often to modify the amount or intensity of something. For example, the glass is quite full means that the glass is not empty. The glass is not full. The glass is almost full. Because the words quite and quiet sound so similar, they can be confusing when you hear them or say them.
The pair of words quiet and quite are said differently, even though the difference can be hard to hear sometimes. Can you hear it? Quiet. Quite. Let's see how to pronounce the word quiet. The word quiet begins with the QU letters and sounds like this, qu, qu. The second part, the I-E-T, it. Let's put that together, quiet. Now your turn. Very good. Here are some examples of quiet being used in everyday English. Please be quiet. I'm trying to concentrate on my homework. This is a quiet area. Mobile phones are not permitted in this area. When children are quiet, they are either asleep or watching television.
And here are 4 popular ways of using the word quiet. Be quiet. This is an instruction to stop making noise. Shh. Keep quiet means now you are quiet and you're not making a noise. Stay like that. Continue being quiet. Shh. A quiet life. This is often stated as a wish. Oh, for a quiet life. And a quiet life means living without stress, a life that is calm. And peace and quiet is another wish for calm, but at a particular moment, not necessarily for the rest of your life. You might say, I'd like some peace and quiet, meaning you'd like to be somewhere calm, not noisy, not busy. You can usually find some peace and quiet at the library. I remember the expression from when I was young and playing loudly with my brother. My mother used to say, I'd like some P and Q. P and Q meaning peace and quiet.
Now we've heard about the word quiet, but what about the word quite? Now the first part is the same. The QU makes a qu sound. The second part, ITE, makes an IT sound. Now let's put that together. Quite. Now your turn. Very good. Now here are some examples using the word quite. I was quite all right until my train was delayed. When I heard it was delayed, I started to panic. I lived in this town for quite some time. I'm not a newcomer. It's quite out of the question. Don't argue with me.
And here are 4 popular ways of using quite. Quite sure. When I'm quite sure of something, I am close to being certain or definite. Quite right is a very British English exclamation, agreeing that someone took the right action. For example, someone might say to you, when I saw what was happening, I left. And you respond, quite right. Quite so is an exclamation like quite right, but it's softer, more like an, ah yes, a nod of your head in agreement. Quite so. Quite a lot is a way of saying a significant amount. I like her quite a lot means that I like her more than a little, but I do not love her. I am between liking her and loving her.
We can use both the word quite and quiet in the same sentence. It's quite quiet here, isn't it?
So now we know more about quiet and quite, let's move on to our next pair of confusing words. Dessert and desert. A dessert is the sweet course of a meal served after the main course. A desert is somewhere hot and arid and without much water or rain. About 33% of the Earth's land surface is desert. And dessert and desert are often confused because the words sound similar.
The words dessert and desert sound almost the same and are spelt almost the same. There is an extra letter, an S, in dessert, and it makes the pronunciation slightly different to desert with one S. Listen carefully. Dessert and desert. Let's start by looking at the word dessert. Now, if you look at the first three letters, the D-E-S is pronounced des, and the second part of the word, S-E-R-T, dessert, zert. So let's put that together, dessert. Now you try. Very good. Here are some examples of dessert in use. You can choose a starter and a main meal, or a main meal and a dessert. Which would you like? If I make the main meal, will you bring the dessert? I won't have time to prepare both courses. I haven't any room for dessert. I've already eaten enough to fill me up, and I don't think I can eat any more. Now you've heard about the word dessert, what about desert? Now this time the word begins with a D and an E and sounds like this, de, and ends with the S-E-R-T, zert. Now let's put that together. Desert, desert. Now you try. Very good. Here are some examples of desert being used. There is very little rain in the desert, but some plants manage to grow. It was a long drive through the desert. She hoped they wouldn't run out of petrol. Lizards living in the desert often hide from the sun during the day. They come out at night when it is cooler. And of course, we can manage to use both words dessert and desert in the same sentence. They stopped for dessert in the desert.
Even some native English speakers can be confused about when to say dessert and when to say desert. But the situation you are in can make it clear what you mean. If someone says desert when you are looking at a choice of cakes and puddings and fruit, you are going to think dessert. Don't panic if you say the wrong word when speaking. Now we are clear about dessert and desert, let's move on to our next pair of confusing words. Assume, presume. Assume is to think or believe something without any real proof. For example, I might say, I assume it is going to rain today because it is a public holiday. Now, there is no proof that it rains because it's a public holiday. On the other hand, presume is to think or believe something with more certainty, but still not being 100% sure. For example, I presume it's going to rain today because dark clouds are appearing in the sky. It might rain if those dark clouds are rain clouds.
Like many other confusing words, assume and presume sound similar. Listen to the difference in how these words are said. Assume, presume. Let's consider more closely the word assume. The first three letters, A-S-S, are pronounced as. The second or last part of the word, U-M-E, is pronounced ume. Let's put that together now. Assume. Assume. Now you try. Very good. Here are examples of assume being used. I assume you ate all the ice cream. Assuming that my train leaves on time, I will arrive in London at 8 o'clock. People assume that I'm a student when I'm walking through the university gardens because I look young and carry a backpack.
And here are two popular ways of combining other words with assume. Safely assume. When we say safely assume, we mean that there is little risk or chance of us being wrong. For example, we safely assume that all the students will graduate this year as they have all worked hard. So we are confident they will all pass their exams. Naturally assume. When you say naturally assume, it's a way of emphasizing that something inside you, your instinct, your feelings, makes you think or believe something. For example, I naturally assumed that he loved her as she was his sister.
Now we've heard about the word assume. What about presume? Now the first three letters here, P-R-E, is pronounced pr, and the ending of the word is spelled S-U-M-E and is pronounced sume. Sume. So let's put that together. Presume. Now it's your turn. Very good. And here are some examples using presume. I presume that you are carrying that large empty bag as you are going out shopping. We presumed that she liked the gift after we saw her smile. We presumed little Jane ate the cookies.
Because the words assume and presume mean similar things and sound similar, they can be super confusing. When speaking, I think it's okay if you get the words mixed up. People will understand what you mean because they're so close in meaning. If you are confident and reasoned about what you are thinking, use presume. If you are less sure and more emotional than reasoned, maybe stick with assume. Now we know about assume and presume, let's move on to our next pair of confusing words. Formally and formally. Formally is used to show that something is being done in a formal or official or traditional way. For example, the king was formally welcomed to the event. Formally identifies something that has changed, that was different in the past. For example, he formerly went to school in the village and now he goes to school in the city. Let's hear about the pronunciation of these words.
The words formally and formally are pronounced the same way, even though the words are spelt differently. We can hear the difference when we split each word in two. The words have different endings. The first ends with the letters A, double L-Y, and the second ends with the letters E-R-L-Y. However, when we say the words, they sound almost exactly the same. Formally. Formally. Now you try. Very good. And here are some examples of the word formally, the word ending A-double-L-Y being used in a sentence. He was formally dressed in a suit and tie. Now, when you are wearing jeans and t-shirt, you're considered to be informally dressed. The new store was formally opened by the mayor. We can say that the store was opened by the mayor, but adding formally indicates that there was some kind of ceremony. Maybe the mayor gave a little speech, or cut a ribbon, or there were free drinks for the attendees. He formally asked his girlfriend's father for permission to marry his daughter. This is a custom that fewer and fewer people seem to observe. However, he did, and this pleased the future father-in-law. Smart move. And what about the other version, the word formally ending with E-R-L-Y? Here are some examples. The building was formerly used as a school. It is now a restaurant. She was formerly known as Anne Smith. When she got married, her name changed to Anne Grant. He was formerly living in London and working in Dubai. Now he lives and works in London.
So, formerly and formally sound the same but mean different things. When you hear someone say formerly, you will be able to guess which word they mean because of the situation in which it's being used. And when you say formally, well, it's going to sound just fine. You don't have to worry about which spelling you're using when talking. So we've looked at these 4 pairs of words that can be confusing for English learners and some native English speakers. We know that words can be confusing when they sound similar but have different meanings, like quiet and quite, or desert and desert. Or words can be confusing when they sound different but have similar meanings, like assume and presume. Or words can be confusing when they sound the same but have different meanings, like formally and formally. If you find this video helpful, please give it a like, as this really helps. And if you are new to the channel, please consider subscribing. We'd love to have you join us, and ding the notification bell to know when we upload a new video. Goodbye for now.